Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another edition of Mere Tradition. I'm going to be answering some subscriber Q&A today. Two questions. One is about some weird Marian cult thing out of Quebec, and another is about the Catholic Charismatic Covenant communities. And before I do that, I wanted to give some words of encouragement for homeschooling parents and a little analogy that I think will help you if you're having difficulties. Stay tuned. All right, thank you for joining me. Now, before I continue, I wanted to mention two things. Number one is I'd like to say that I'm happy to be working with Real Estate for Life. And if you are looking to buy or sell your home and you want to work with people who share the same faith, who do things like donate to Catholic charities or pro-life Catholic charities that work with Catholic organizations, basically help keep the faith alive and do good work, you're going to want to check out the link in the description, or you can just go to realestateforlife.org. You can find agents in both America and Canada, and they'll hook you up with somebody that you need. It's a referral service that helps you find a real estate agent or helps real estate agents find you, essentially. Kind of works both ways, and many people have used it. And let's be honest, if you're going to be purchasing a home or selling a home, it's a really big thing, and you want to work with somebody you can trust. And this company is great because it helps to support Catholic initiatives, helps keep people like myself able to do what I do through support, and all of that works together to make sure that we can build up our economic interests as Catholics. So check out realestateforlife.org. You can find the link for that in the description area to this podcast. And last thing I wanted to mention is that in just a couple weeks, we have the Canadian Martyrs Men's Conference. Tickets are still available, but we're going to have to shut off ticket sales soon. Within a week or so, go to the link in the description. That's the Canadian Martyrs Men's Conference, CanadianMartyrsConference.ca. And the theme this year is the Kingship of Christ. It's the 100th anniversary of Quas Primas. Stratford, Ontario, Canada. It's a great time. You're going to want to check that out. All right, let's get into it. So, first thing I wanted to say was homeschooling. I was thinking about this earlier because we homeschool our kids. We know lots of people who homeschool. You're probably in a similar position. We know lots of people who send their kids to good Catholic private schools. You're probably in a similar position. Situations depend on a lot of factors. In some cases, some families just aren't able to do the homeschooling for reasons that are their own, and that's their own prerogative. In some cases, there's no option but to homeschool because there's no good school available. In some cases, there are multiple options, and they want to choose the right one that works best for them. Well, I used to work in education, and I'm going to use an analogy from a different sector of life that I think helps. So, when I was 14 years old, I started training for football. I was a football player, a rugby player, whatever. And we had this great strength and conditioning program at my high school. And basically the Monday after the first city championship I played in, which was on the Saturday, so like 2 days later, went up to the weight room, asked one of the coaches, I was like, I would like to get in better, bigger, faster, stronger for football. And we started with the basic old school bro split kind of program. It was like 3 sets of 10, splits, upper body, lower body, leg day, whatever. It was great. Kept doing that. Eventually, started working with some really highly qualified strength and conditioning coaches that were training professional athletes in a variety of sports, college athletes and so forth. Learned a lot of stuff there. Went to university with the varsity sport programs and learned a lot of stuff there. Joined a boxing gym, learned a completely different style of training because it wasn't based in the weight room sort of thing. Tried CrossFit, did powerlifting stuff. I've done a ton of cycling, ton of running, done a lot of things. And you know what? All of them work to help you achieve your goals. There are lots of ways to get a big bench press. There are lots of ways to increase your VO2 max. There are lots of ways to get more explosive. And everyone has a system that they're trying to sell you. This is the system that works. Now, admittedly, there are some systems that don't work and they're kind of gimmicks. But there are a lot of systems that do work, and they profess to be the system that's going to get you the results that you need, when really they're one of many that are all good. But why is it that some people swear by certain systems rather than others? Well, a lot of it has to do with happenstance, you know? I will always have an affinity for that first style that I was taught by this football coach I had, who himself was a high-level trainer. And it was like basic, old-school 1970s, 80s stuff. It was Monday was chest and back. Tuesday was shoulders and legs. Wednesday was small body parts. It was like biceps and triceps and abs and calves. Thursdays was chest and back, and Fridays was shoulders and legs. It's a lot of stuff. You know, when you're a teenager, you might as well be on steroids because you can basically work out the same muscles 2 or 3 times a week and not get injured. I'll always have an affinity for that. I've had the best results in my life doing that. When I was in university, we had this crazy strength and conditioning coach. He was a strength coach at Villanova, I think, before he came back to Canada. And those workouts were insane. I remember throwing up from a back workout because the lactic acid buildup was so high. Everyone got big and strong. Lots of variation, lots of funny pieces of equipment. We had to carry anvils at times and pull chains, but we did bench press in between and it's crazy stuff. And it was awesome. I trained at a CrossFit gym when I was playing rugby, and that was completely different. Some similarities, but completely different. I trained with the track and field club to get ready for my first post-secondary football season. And was completely different than what I was used to, had major results in leg strength and speed and all that kind of stuff. They all work when you work really hard and you push yourself to the limit and you follow a program and are consistent. Education is very much the same. Some people will tell you that this is the way you have to teach your kids. And look at all our track record of success. Then somebody else will tell you the same thing with a different method, and look at our track record of success. Like in training, as long as you're following certain principles, like you get significant amount of intensity and significant amount of volume with the right amount of rest, basically, and right nutrition. As long as you do that, you'll get big and strong and fast. As long as you do that in education, you'll get intellectually big and strong and fast. At the same time, there's only so much that you can do. There's only so much that you can do. A good trainer who's trying to get you ready for a football season, for example, will say, we're not here in the gym to get in shape. We're here in the gym to get strong. We go out to the track or to the field to get in shape. Any trainer who tries to mix those and say that you can do both at the same time with the same level of success, he's incorrect. In education, it's the same kind of thing. You need to focus on certain things to get really good at them. And you're better off to not try to do too much and throw too many variations in, and rather just focus on various fundamentals. As a parent, if you're going to homeschool your children, you have to pick a program that works for you for everything from your state in life, how many children you have, the ages of children you have, the temperaments of your children, your own temperament, and you have to find something that works. And if you switch it up and you try to find the thing and you finally land on the thing that works, that's great. You're not a failure because you tried 2 or 3 ways and they didn't work. Just like you're not a failure if you tried, you tried the aerobics class, you tried the CrossFit gym, and then finally, for some reason, it was a powerlifting gym that really spoke to you and you're in the best shape of your life and you do deadlifts and bench press and squats. And you never thought you'd ever be there, but that's what you love to do and you're motivated to do it. You're the best physical version of yourself because guess what? You were never going to follow through with anything else because you didn't want to, because you didn't like it and it was a chore, whereas this makes you happy. Education's kind of the same thing. I'll give you an example here. C.S. Lewis, I think we can all agree, one of the great minds of the 20th century. Literature, philosophy, whatever. He wasn't Catholic, but his general apologetics for the Christian position are very strong. He went through 3 or 4 different types of education, different types of schools before he finally landed on one that worked. He was like I think I remember correctly from his book Surprised by Joy's autobiography. It was something like a day school, and then there was like a private school, and then he went away to a small boarding school, and then he went to this really fancy, highly priced boarding school where the high society in England were sending their kids. He hated them all. Just hated them. Social life, the way the teaching was done, he just hated them. He finally landed on one that worked for him, and his dad found him a tutor in England, because he was from Northern Ireland originally, a tutor that he could live with, retired Greek and classics professor, I think. He lived with the man, and every morning for 3 or 4 hours, they basically studied Greek literature and antiquity. That was basically it. And he did that every day. And he became the C.S. Lewis that we know. Who knows what would have happened if they tried to keep forcing him in the other style. But this is what worked for him. Another author, J.R.R. Tolkien, completely different path. Raised basically in a more traditional schooling setting. They're both remembered and they're both amazing. They're both buddies. They're both two of the most influential authors and thinkers of the 20th century. Find the program or the combination of programs, the style that works for you. If it's too hard to also make sure you get your kids to read tons of history as its own subject because you're having a hard enough time with reading and writing and math and catechism or whatever, guess what? If you make them into incredible readers, then by the time they're 10, 11, 12 years old, they can read entire books and novels about history in a week. So you'll catch up for a lot of lost time. That's just one example. So don't fall for anybody's, it has to be this way. Just like you shouldn't fall for any trainer guy who says you must train this way and there's no other way. It's just not the case. Yes, you have to follow certain fundamentals, but there's a lot of variation therein. And depending on your motivations and your disposition, some ways are going to be more successful than others. If you don't want to do it and your kids don't want to do it, it doesn't matter how sophisticated a program it is, because you're not going to do it or you're not going to do it well. Just like if you went out and hired the most expensive personal trainer in the world who trains, Hall of Fame NFL football players, but you just can't stand the workouts, you're not going to show up to them. So it's going to do you no good. You're better off to just go find a gym bro who says, let's do 3 sets of 10 for 4 different exercises for 2 body parts a day, and I'll see you tomorrow, and you'll get results with him because you're actually there. I know, food for thought, something to think about. All right. I wanted to answer some subscriber Q&A. So this first question is about the Army of Mary. It's a weird heretical schismatic group out of Quebec. And what is it?